Small Business Saturday.
Welcome to Small Business Saturday's video series with your host and my husband.
And my dad, Aaron Montgomery.
Join the conversation.
Let's talk some business.
Good morning, everybody. I am coming to you from a little bit different location today. Don't have all my stuff. I'm actually just using my travel laptop here. And so no fun intro music or anything like that, but definitely still going to have a great time and have a great show today. We've got a little bit of an ice storm rolling in here in the St. Louis area, supposedly. And I didn't want to head down to my office and get stuck down there and not be able to be with my family today. So little kind of different setup back in my old office here in my house, and see how things go today. Also want to kind of make sure see how the internet does here instead, and see if the lag is still there. Yeah. So anyways, how's everybody doing today? Everybody having a great Saturday already? And I'm going to pop up a couple other things here. I need to get my agenda up. All right. So let us dive in. I want to, come on. No, not what I wanted to do. All right. Fun stuff. Great way to get this kicked off, but that's okay. That's part of it. In fact, we're going to talk about that today. All right. Today is all about celebrating. It's about being excited. It's about looking forward to our successes. Having your own business is a very fun and rewarding experience, but it will also challenge you, which in turn will make you a better person. You know, we need to have some failures. We're going to talk about all that here. The way I kind of look at this, and my wife and I were discussing this as we were talking about kind of business and having our own business and doing these things together. The way I look at it, almost, in fact, you know, the feeling that you have where we talked about this, where it's fun, rewarding, but it's also going to challenge you. It's also going to push you. It could be some of the more difficult things that you ever have to do. But in turn, those things are going to make you a better person. Well, those of you that actually have kids probably already know this feeling. You probably have it, because having kids, and I've got two young men that are just fantastic and the love of my life, and all of these positive things. Having kids, these are some of the words that kind of came to my mind as I was thinking about having kids and what my kids have meant to me. And scary is a word that comes to mind. Rewarding is a word that comes to mind. Frustrating is a word that comes to mind. Joyful is another word. Hard, difficult is another word. Proud, disappointing, meaningful, and fulfilling. All of those words encompass one thing, my kids. And so I'm guessing you guys have a lot of the same things when it comes to those feelings. Well, that's the same feeling that you have. That kind of up and down balancing act is kind of the same feeling you have when it comes to starting a business and being successful and launching and getting off the ground. And it's scary, but yet it can be rewarding. It's frustrating because things don't always go the way you want them to, but it's joyful because you're getting to live your own life the way you want to live it. Those kinds of things. So it's really, really kind of a great thing, but we always sit there and go, you know, we focus on the negatives. And so, and when I say I'm talking about myself. You know, these are the things. Let me kind of go back here. The reason I started Small Business Saturdays, the reason that this journey started for me, it actually started out for me as a kind of a way to explore ideas that I couldn't get out of my head. You know, that was a frustration that I was having. So it's like, okay, what do I do to get there? Kind of in the middle, it morphed into this really cool opportunity to build a community. You know, you guys started tuning in, listening, commenting, being a part of the conversation, helping me explore those ideas, and my wife being involved and all these other things. So that was kind of the middle, the process. You know, today it's one of my favorite things that I do each week, and it's helped my wife and I work towards these long-term goals. But like I said, this is about that journey. This is about all of the things that we want to get there. You know, the title of today's video is successfully launching. get your business going. And this could be successfully launching. This could be successfully growing if you're already launched. So the things we're going to talk about today are all there. Being positive, looking at all of the challenges that may come up and realize that those are opportunities to grow. So I got to spend some time with my wife yesterday, and we were refining out our why. And actually, when I talk about challenges, one of the things that always seemed challenges was, let's get that why down. And I've talked a lot about that. And I think that's a really important thing for everybody to kind of have some, it doesn't have to be something crazy and wild, but to have something that kind of is your point. But what we found was that we were probably spending our time with the crafting of the why, and everything was there. It all felt good, but it didn't come out right. It didn't read right. It didn't kind of just feel right. So we actually discovered yesterday that if we started out with our core values, and kind of worked through to that, and kind of came up with what were the most important ones for us. And these are just more. So here's what we came up with for core values: family, and I'm reading from my book where I made the notes. Family, knowledge, joy, connection, health, persistence. We started there. And then once we did that, we're like, oh, okay, well, now we can fit all these things together. But again, it was a failure. It was something that we weren't able to get through. We had a roadblock in front of us. And it turned out to be rewarding, because now we've got this thing here that we can kind of point to that helps us move forward and do these things all the time. And so that's what we found, so our why is something you got to put in words. But again, my example was to talk to you guys about, hey, we had a challenge, we had a roadblock, we figured something out. And instead of going, oh man, we're just not getting there, and we're not going to be able to do this, we saw it as an opportunity. We celebrated the fact that we were trying. We celebrated the fact that we wanted to do this together. We celebrated the opportunity to be together and spend that time together to do those things. So it was great. And in fact, if you want me to go ahead and read out our why, I'll move. My wife was nice enough to write it on our board back there. So I'll move out of the way real quick, because you probably can't see that in the video. But it's persistently connecting seekers to knowledge, products, and services to bring joy, health, and the importance of family. So there you go. That's our why. So now you guys know. So we got done with that, and we said, okay, what's next? And I knew that we were going to be talking about successfully launching businesses. So we're going through the same process with you guys. And so we kind of started talking about what's next. And that's really what I want to talk about today. How do we get from an idea to success? How do we push to launch or continue to grow? So with that being said, hey, Joseph, how are you? Joseph asked me, are you doing this from ISS or home? No, Joseph, I'm actually at home. I keep getting questions like, hey, are you here? You want to, and I beat myself up because I didn't make it, but it just didn't work. I couldn't figure out how to get out there and make it kind of worth my while. And now that I'm independent here, that travel cost comes out of my own pocket. Plus I would have been away from my family more. And as much as I miss seeing everybody at ISS, if you're out there at ISS, definitely hello, good morning, all those kinds of fun things. And I would have loved to have connected, but doesn't mean we can't still. So just reach out to me. I'd love to catch up a little bit and hear from you. So yeah, I'm at home today, Joseph, to answer your question. But so since I got a great question from Joseph, thank you. I would like to ask you guys some questions here real quick to get us started. So here's the question. Who currently has their own business that is, and then you tell me, is your business full-time and your source of income? Feel free to comment below. And even if you're catching this after the live version, feel free to comment below. maybe it's not a full-time business. Maybe it's your side hustle that brings in extra cash. So first option, full-time and your source of income. Second option, side hustle that brings extra cash. That eyelash that keeps driving me nuts here. Sorry. All right. Number 3, hobby. Is your business actually right now a hobby? And that doesn't mean it's always going to be a hobby, but a hobby to me is you're doing it, but you're not making any money at it yet. And that's most likely where most of us are falling right now. Not saying that hobby is a negative thing, not saying that that's where you're always going to be. So don't that, and it's okay. You know what? Hobby is fun. And that's what we want to do. We want to have some fun, but we want to also then turn it into either a side hustle or our full-time source of income. And then the fourth option would be those of you that just have not started your business yet. So again, feel free to comment and let me know where you're at. And I'd love to hear from you. If you don't get a chance to comment on this, you can also always reach out to me. There's my website scrolling across the bottom right now, or there is my email address right there, aaron@montcoconsulting.com. So hit me up either way there and let me know. Okay, so I wanted to start there, and because I wanted you to kind of make some distinguishes. That's not even the right way to say it. I wanted you to kind of categorize yourself, because this information is going to come to you a little bit differently depending on where you're at. Again, a lot of what we're talking to here are the people that are in that hobby stage or not yet started stage. But if you're in the side hustle or full-time source of income stage, there's still stuff here, because this can also be a way to look at launching yourself to continued growth and getting to that next level, that next step that you want to get to. So the first thing that we're going to do to successfully launch is business planning. Yes, I am the business planning guy, and I've talked a ton about this. You're possibly getting to the point where you're tired of hearing about it. But if you go back to one of the core values that I talked about, one of the things that's in our why, persistence. Okay, persistence. I want to push towards being persistent. That's therefore I'm going to talk about business planning some more. So developing business plan and doing the business planning thing is extremely easy. It just is. And you can argue with me all you want. It's very easy. And I will argue with you about that till the end of time, that I think it's extremely easy. And here's why. Anyone can do it. It does not require any special skills. All you have to do is have an idea, and you take that idea and you put it into writing and write out the details. Business planning, as I talk about it, is more about the act of doing and not about how good or bad it is. So it's easy. Anyone can do it. That's all that it is. Now, people will say, and the argument is that it's hard. And yes, not everyone will do it, because it does require doing. So if you can do something, if you can write, if you can express an idea, you can do a business plan. But like I said, some people will go, no, it's hard. Not everyone can do it. And hear a lot of things like, and here are the reasons why, actually, not hear a lot of things. Here are some of the reasons why. It takes work. It takes effort. It takes self-reflection. Those things are not always easy. Those things are not sitting on the couch. Those things are not scrolling through Facebook. Those things are effort. So that's first. 2, it can be scary. It can feel confining. But I think those things happen because business plans have a PR problem, have a personal relations problem. Their marketing, business planning's marketing is not very good. And so I'm going to work on changing the marketing of it. And here's why I think that it has a PR problem. The name business planning is actually a name for 2 different things. And we don't always realize that being the case. So it's the true working version. That's what I'm talking about here. That's the thing that I discuss ad nauseum, the true working version that we are going to use as a tool within our business from the time we start it till the time we're done with it. That's what I'm talking about. What most people see when they think of the word business plan is the formal one, the one that seems like it can be a waste. And honestly, in a lot of ways, if that's kind of what your idea of the business plan is this formal coffee table type book that you do once and you put away or give to somebody, is fairly useless unless you're trying to raise venture capital or get a loan. And yes, the working version can easily become that formal version, and a one-time, here you go, you're done. But see, that's where people go, the effort's just not worth it to them to put this in, because they think of that one. They think of, you do it one time, you hand it off to the bank, or you show it off to your friends, and then it goes away. The one I'm talking about is the working version. This working version is a guardrail. It's a tool to help you not get the blinders that we all get as business owners. You have the blinders. You're doing stuff within your business. You're so close to it that you cannot see beyond what's right in front of you. You get blinders on. So the business plan helps you step back from that, look at it from a bigger angle, a wider view, all of these things. So that's a tool for that. It's a framework to help you pivot when change is needed. It makes those changes more efficient because you already have a framework for how your business is going to operate. So when you need to make a change, it's right there in front of you. You don't have to go and reinvent the wheel all the time. You just stick it back into the framework that you already have. So the title here, again, successfully launching, successfully being kind of another key term. So kind of picked out all these keys: celebrating, success, all the positive terms. And that's what, again, wanted to really focus on that for me, as well as you guys, hopefully. Success is interesting because I think a lot of people will see somebody that's successful out there and whatever their idea of success, and they have that person they look up to as successful. And then all they really see is that this person was just on this super highway where they got on, they mashed their foot on the gas, and boom, they were successful. They blew it up. We hear the stories of the Mark Zuckerbergs or, the Jeff Bezoses of the world. And all you hear is the positive, the great stuff. You see a couple little challenges just so the story sounds really good. But really what success is not that super highway. It's not straight. Excuse me. It's not free of obstacles. It's really a lot of different roads. It's turns, it's stops, it starts, it's hills, it's potholes. There's all sorts of things to navigate. And success is really about evolving. And so to tie this back, success is about evolving, and your business plan is your map to success. So there's my kind of soapbox about business planning and why it's got bad PR. Business planning is a never-ending process, and it needs managed. Okay, I say that, and you guys all go, I thought we were trying to be positive today. That sounds super negative. Well, it's not super negative, actually. It's really just part of running your business. It's not some outside strange thing that's a waste of time. It is actually part of running your business. So you would look at a task like where I have to, let's say you're a screen printer. Okay, I have to color separate. Well, that's a task. That's something that you're doing on a daily basis. That's how you get from point A to point B. Or maybe you have to clean screens. Again, it's a task. Or as a sublimator, you have to do the prep work. You got to print the transfer. You got to remove plastic. Whatever the case may be. These are all tasks that you're doing every day. They're not actually what makes you successful, but they're the things that you have to do along the way to get to a point where you can deliver a product to somebody that they're going to pay you money for, or whatever your other measures of success are. Maybe they're going to pay you money for, and they're going to be ecstatic about it. That's success to you. Well, you're doing all those things. Well, the business plan is just the same thing. It's just a different kind of tool that we're using to get from point A to point B. So the fact that it's a never-ending process, that's actually not a negative thing. It's really just running your business. And as a bonus, I think we kind of already touched on this slightly, but as a bonus, this business plan is actually going to make your future business decisions a lot easier. it's going to, again, provide you that framework that you need to go back and see what decisions fit the plan and don't, because if it doesn't fit the plan, there's a chance it's going to run you off the cliff. My analogy here is that running a business without a business plan is, to me, kind of like driving a car that has no front window and you don't have a map. So what you see ahead of you in the car, out your windshield, or on the map that you're following, those things don't actually drive the car. Those things don't actually do the actual driving. You have to make decisions and choices along the way from what you see and what the map's telling you, that, hey, do I need to run into that deer, or do I need to hit the brakes and stop? Those kinds of things. So you have that information, and a business plan, to me, is just that same thing. It's giving you that information. It's giving you that thought process to then make decisions on whether to go forward, stop, turn, whatever. So it's just giving you the tools to do it as safely as possible. Just like a windshield and a map give you the tools to drive as safely as possible, a business plan gives you the tools to safely pursue your business as much as possible without having catastrophic outcomes, because you really have no idea what's going on. All right, so that's the first thing. Now, with that, I think it's important that I also share with you actual action items. Actual action items, is that the I want to share with you action items that you can actually do between now and next week, that is going to get you to be able to successfully launch. So this one here is something that we've already talked about. Hopefully you've already looked at. But if not, the action item is go check out my business plan videos. Just go to aaronmontgomery.info/business plan, and that'll pull up all of them for you. And then, but the action item is to do the homework in those 5 things. It's going to take some work. It's going to take some doing. It's going to take you carving out a little bit of time to do this. And I'd love for you to do it this week, but just give yourself a deadline. When are you going to have that done by? When are you going to do those homework pieces? Because with those homework pieces, my wife and I provide feedback to those people that have participated. My wife and I will check in with you. We will help you. We'll give information. So do those homework items, and we're going to give those things back to you for free. And like I said, we plan on then checking in with those people quarterly to kind of just give you, let you know that somebody else is thinking about you. It can be a little lonely out there sometimes, and we are thinking about you. So we're going to check in with you quarterly, and no charge. Now, if you want a little bit more help, we can do that. We'll be happy to consult even further than quarterly if you really need. You can talk to me about it, but typically we charge about $55 an hour for that, and happy to do that. Love to be part of your success. Again, going back to the why, we want to connect seekers. You guys are seeking to have a business. You guys are seeking to get better as people and things like that. So we want to connect. We want to help. We want to do that. That's part of our business. 2. Sorry, I got off track there. So now some of you may already have a business plan, and congratulations to you. Not saying that if you don't, that's a negative thing. What I'm saying is, if you're working towards it, the only negative thing here would be if you don't plan to do this, if you really don't think that, and that's your decision. I just don't know how I can help you. Okay. Now, if you've already done a business plan, here's what you can do. Also, share it with me. Here's, again, email address right there. Share it with me, send it over. And, if you have questions, you want me to review it, whatever, I'm happy to give you feedback and some things. Again, I'm not going to have all of the answers for you, but I certainly am willing to listen. And I'm certainly going to give you every bit of help that I can give you within the framework of what I know. And so it's a community. We're sharing, we're connecting, and that's what it's all about. So share that with me. And again, I will check in with you quarterly as well. So there's your first action item as far as the business planning is going. Either do the homework, actually send me your business plan, make that step, put a deadline on it. It'd be great if it could be before our next week's episode, but put a deadline on it, okay? Because if you put a deadline on it, then you will actually figure out a way to carve out the time to do these things. A good example of this was, as I mentioned, my wife and I took some time on Friday to go through this stuff and to do these things. And we've been talking about it, obviously, for a long time. And what it finally took was we set an appointment. I said, okay, let's have an appointment. My wife's suggestion was, let's do this at this time. And then it forced both of us to carve out the time to do the homework, to do the things that were needed to get to that point where we could have that sit down together. So there's action item number one. All right. So the second thing that we're going to do to successfully launch, and drum roll, please. No need for a drum roll. The second thing we're going to do is just do it. And sorry, Nike, I know I'm using your copyright, but you need to just do it. You do. And I know this is not some revolutionary technique. I know this is not like some groundbreaking and you were hoping to like get the magic bullet. But here's the deal. We often just need to be reminded by others. To in a way, it gives us permission. If I say to somebody, why don't you just do that? Who cares if you fail? Who cares what happens? Just do it. Okay, that internally gives them permission. So remind the people around you that are struggling with something. It can be just as easy as saying, hey, you know what? Just do it. Go for it. Give it a try. Why not? What do you have to lose? Those kinds of things. So the second piece here is I just want us to get together. I want us to celebrate together and push each other. I want you to push the envelope of what you think your limitations are. We'd like to have you try to make mistakes or have failures, because those mistakes, those failures are actually learning opportunities. I had a really neat conversation with my 7-year-old the other night. He was very frustrated with himself because of his math homework. He was just not getting it. He was making mistakes. He was struggling. I think he was a little bit tired, and that's on me. But as we had this conversation, and I was telling him that the more valuable things to him were the ones that he got wrong. All the answers that he got right, that's great. That should be celebrated. But all of the answers that he got wrong should be celebrated even more, because it gives him the opportunity to go back, learn, and grow and be better. And then as I was saying these things to him, I'm like, holy crap. I'm talking to a 7-year-old here and I'm giving him this advice, but yet there's many, many times where I don't even come close to following this advice. So really I was talking to myself, and that's the coolest part about, growing and learning, is that you're really, when you're talking to other people about things, you're actually really talking to yourself. And that's really what Small Business Saturday is for me, is that affirmation and building in this community. But anyhow, the point being is that we need to do that. We need to kind of get to those points. So getting things right or doing the same thing is just going to keep you right where you're at. Being content is totally fine, and it's a totally good thing to be striving for, is to be able to be content. But if you're not at your definition of success right now, then failures are a must. They're absolutely have to happen. So they absolutely have to be looked at as a positive, not a negative. And to do that, you got to celebrate. So here's another thing that, again, I probably learn more from my kids than they learn from me. We watched a movie. I don't know. It's been a little while now, and we've watched it a couple times. And I don't know, as a movie, you'll have to make your own decision. It's a cartoon, so you have to sit through a cartoon if you're not a cartoon kind of person. Again, as a movie, it's not the greatest movie. I didn't care for the graphics all that much or anything like that, but the message was fantastic. It's called Meet the Robinsons, and you can actually get information about it right there. It's a Disney movie, movies.disney.com/meet-the-Robinsons, Robinsons. I won't go too deep into it because I'm already over time a little bit here, but it's a fantastic movie. It's great for the kids, but I think it's also a wonderful lesson for adults to learn. And really, I think the moral of the entire movie is celebrate your failures, because those failures will turn out to be your greatest successes. Because that failure will get you that much closer to getting to that success point. So anyhow, go check that out. I think you'll enjoy it. Now, for do, the action item. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go do something outside of your comfort zone to improve, grow, or launch your business. And I'm going to give you a deadline. Whatever this is has to be done this week. Okay. So today is January 19th. Oh boy, my calendar. I'm going to pull it up here. So when do you have to have this done by? Didn't prepare, didn't plan ahead for this. All right, January 19th. Okay, wow. January 26th. By January 26th, you have to do something outside of your comfort zone to improve, grow, or launch your business. Do something that's going to get you closer to your goals. So maybe those things, some examples would be, make some cold calls, or go to a networking event, or record and post a video. Do an awful job of it if you're worried about that, and be okay with that. Maybe it's launch your website. Maybe it's invest in that new piece of equipment that you just can't quite get yourself to push to that. Whatever it is, I'm not saying go out and just waste your money and do whatever. Make sure it's a planned event, but do something that's outside of your current comfort zone. It doesn't have to be way outside of it. Just push on it. If your comfort zone is here, let's see, I'll put my hands up here. Sorry. If your comfort zone is here, it doesn't have to be off the screen that you go and do. If your comfort zone is here, go to here. Do something right on those edges and push yourself to do those things. And here's how you're going to do this, and here's how you're going to succeed. You need to find yourself. I keep saying this, and my wife told me I need to stop doing that. I think it's very important that you find find an accountability partner. Excuse me. So find an accountability partner. For me, I'm fortunate that my spouse is willing and interested and will put up with my silliness or craziness at times. So it could be a spouse, it could be a friend, it could be somebody inside our little community here. It could be somebody in a Facebook group, somebody that you talk to all the time, that you've built a relationship with in the industry. And last but not least, if you really, I am happy to do it. My wife is happy to be that accountability partner. So connect with us and we'll be that accountability partner for you right now. The only thing that they need to do is they need to be able to listen. And here's the deal. Go talk to them today, Saturday, January 19th. Go talk to them today. Or if you're watching this another day, just move that schedule out 7 days. But go talk to them today about it and get that set up. That's first thing. Get that done, get that set up, and ask them if they're willing to do that for you. Once you've found that accountability partner, you need to tell them what you're going to do, what it is that you're going to do that's outside of your comfort zone, and tell them why that's outside of your comfort zone. What are you uncomfortable with about that? Because sometimes the act of just explaining why it's outside of your comfort zone will actually circle you back and go, well, I guess it's really not that far outside of my comfort zone. I can probably do that pretty easily if I just thought about it. We have a tendency to put these expectations, put these bigger, like here's a good example. I will not ride roller coasters. I have this fear of them. I can get in line. I get myself so worked up. I get myself so anxious that I just can't do it. It's crazy. At 44 years old, it's still something that I can't overcome that easily. But that doesn't mean that I've never ridden a roller coaster. There's been times that I've actually either, for whatever reason, I thought about it. I was with some friends and the peer pressure, whatever. I got on the roller coaster. I had a blast. I went back. But again, so I thought about it and I was able to overcome it. So again, just the act of talking about why it's outside of your comfort zone will really help. So that's the next step. And then after you go and do this thing that's outside of your comfort zone, check back in with them. Make sure your accountability partner knows what your deadline is, and you should check back in with them before they have to reach out to you. Okay, so that I think is another important piece, because take responsibility for yourself. You've got that fallback, but don't lean on them. This is not their business. This is your business. So do that thing. So here's the steps again. Push yourself to do something that's a little bit outside of your comfort zone. Find an accountability partner and talk to them today, and get them lined up today. Tell them what you're going to be doing and why it's outside of your comfort zone. And then lastly, check back in with them before they have to check in with you. And then I said lastly, actually, that was a mistake. That was a failure. And we're celebrating it, because lastly, celebrate that. Celebrate every part of that whole process. Because you know what? Those failures are things that you can then come back, unpack, work on, improve, decide if that's going to work or not work for later growth, and make that part of what you're doing. All right. So there we go. That is successfully launching getting your business going, growing it, going to the next step. So thank you guys so much for your time today and tuning in. Last thing for me, I just want to, so scrolling there, my email address again, if you want to involve me in any of this stuff. Again, we do have a couple of services that we provide, but all the things that I'm asking you to do, or that I'm suggesting that you do when you're contacting me, there's no charge for any of that stuff. So again, the value to us is to build this community, to build this relationship with the people that we help us get to our why. The podcast version of Small Business Saturdays is really close. The gentleman that's building this new network has helped me out a ton. Just got to get that part going, and then he'll push it out and stuff for me. So I'm few little minor details to tweak. Sometimes I'm a little bit too much of a perfectionist, but look for that. If you're a podcast listener, look for that on whatever you listen to your podcasts on, and you can subscribe. And that way you can then listen to this stuff after the fact as an audio version, working, exercising, driving, whatever. If you can't sit down each week with us at the video version, all of this stuff will end up being available out there as a podcast version soon as well. All right. So everybody have a fantastic week. If you're out in Long Beach, enjoy, celebrate with your fellow decorators out there. Tell everybody I said hello, and possibly have a beer for me too. And that's it. Next week, I will check back with you, and I will be checking up with you on some of this stuff. All right. So be ready. Awesome. Have a great rest of your day.